And with that, we'll get started. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MAGFest 2020! Woo! It has been, I can say definitively, since it's January 2nd, a great year so far. My name is Josiah, otherwise known as Outlaw. I'm one of the volunteer coordinators here for MAGFest. To my left is Jack Boyd, president of the MAGFest board. This is Debra, interim executive director and otherwise awesome person. And then that's Joel Adanasio. He is also on the board. And this is Paul, who is also on the board. So on behalf of everyone, I'd like to welcome you all to MAGFest. Quick question. So we'll do this number thing. How many of you, is this your first year at a MAGFest event? Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right. How many of you have been coming for 2 years? All right. 3 years? 4 years? 5? 7? 9? 10. How many of you have been coming to every single MAGFest event ever? Nope, we don't have any lumberjacks in the audience. Okay. So I want to thank you guys so much for making it out this year. I know with the holiday crunch, it might be a little bit difficult to make your schedules work, but it's really awesome to have everyone here. We're hoping that this year is going to be our biggest and best year yet. So let's talk real quick about some guests. How many of you guys are excited for 8-Bit Music Theory this year? Woo! How about David Wise? Woo! How about, just looking down, Guidebook? How about John Patrick Laurie? Woo! How about having OCR back out this year, Overclock Remix? How about Silva Gunner? And that's just a couple of our really awesome guests that we have this year. Looking at performers, we have Samus, just to name a few, Power Glove. We got IQ coming out this year, Flabbercasters. They're awesome if you haven't seen them before. We have Ethernet, we have the Belvedere String Quartet, Arm Cannon, Horizon, woo! And then, how many of you guys have heard of a little band called the Proto Men? All right, I want you to be very serious right now. Please raise your hand if you have not been to a Proto Men show before. Okay? Everyone, look at these people in the room. Holy crap, this is a lot. Okay? Look at these people. You will go to this Proto Men show. All right? It is on Saturday. Get your phones out, take notes. It's on Saturday at 10 p.m. in the Potomac Ballroom. That's where concerts are. All right? They will get on stage. They will blow your fucking minds. As well as literally everything else that's going on, because there's so much going on this week. How many of you guys are excited for our arcade? Woo! How about our consoles room, game room? Pretty much every, so much pop. So pretty much every kind of video game consoles gonna be in the consoles room. We've got Museum picking it up this year, so you want to go check out some of our old PC games. This year they've also got, across the hallway from where they're at, back in the Chesapeake rooms, they've got a retro style arcade, so you can make sure you go check that out as well. All right? And if you got the time, try to go make your way over to Jam Space and Jam Clinic and catch some of the learning and the secret shows that are going to be going on. Yeah? All right, and I see a fancy hoodie in the audience. Just walked in the door. Do you guys seen that delicious Hawaiian print hoodie? Right. Right. You can't have that. But better. But something that you should be aware of is the fact that this is the 10-year anniversary of that man in the back, Adam Chase, running our charity department for MAGFest. Sure.
He's lying a little bit. We have one of these available at the charity auction on Sunday at noon. One additional one of these hoodies. It'll be a MAGFest exclusive from the auction.
It's an extra large. So if you got time, make it out to the charity auction this Sunday. Sunday, noon to 3.
And we have a charity raffle all weekend.
Yeah. And make your way down to the expo hall. They're going to be in Expo C across from the marketplace. They're going to have a raffle going on all weekend long.
I had so much awesome stuff this time.
Yeah. As this is the 10-year anniversary, charity went all out this year in terms of just getting like dope merch, stuff that's just going to be exclusive to their booth. So make sure you stop by, check it out.
I put 3 apologizes and you're welcome.
Adam apologizes and you're welcome.
You rock, Adam.
So there's that. How about tabletop? Anyone excited for some tabletop gaming this weekend? Woo! We got tournaments going on all weekend long. We've also got all of our indie developers. We've got MIVs down in the expo halls. We've got MITs out in the Riverview. And then we also have our Indie Arcade also happening in the expo hall. So if you guys want to support some local homegrown indie gamers and indie developers, make sure you go check them out downstairs and outside. All right. So at this point, I would like to turn it over. Do you want to say something?
Sure.
Okay.
It'll be brief. I'll be brief. My name's Debra. I am currently the executive director of MAGFest, and I'm serving that position. We're currently on an executive director search, so we're actually going to have some candidates here at MAGFest to see the madness. But I just want to thank you all for being here. I've never done one of these. This is the first time I've ever made it to opening ceremonies, so thank you. Thank you so much. I don't have a whole lot to say, but when you guys start getting in the building, it starts building this insane, crazy energy, and that is what we live for. So thank you guys so much for being here. I wanted to give a quick plug. How many people here know that we run a West Coast event, MAGWest? All right. Anyone who didn't know that, well, now you know. Has anyone here been to MAGWest? Hell yeah, we got some people in the front, couple scattered people. I want to let you guys know it's in San Jose, California. It's going to be in the summer. We got flyers down at Reg. I'm wearing a shirt for it. They're really cool too, and you should check it out if you have the opportunity. I don't think I have. Oh, yes, I'm reminded that at MAGWest we have pool parties with video game music poolside. So pretty sweet, along with all the other stuff that you know and love about MAGFest. Can't think of anything else really, so that's it. I'm just so grateful that y'all are here, and have an awesome weekend. Be excellent to each other.
You want to say something?
Man, I can fill however much time you want me to fill.
Take 5, take 10.
Yeah, okay, I would be sitting up there, but this mic is the one making the most feedback. So, hi, I'm Paul. Some of you obviously know me. I have been owner, president, spiritual guide, whatever, of MAGFest for many, many years. If you were with us at the Mark Center, those were kind of my years. I've been backing away from my duties as a leader of MAGFest, and we just made this guy president, so I don't have to do that anymore. I just pinged Brendan, and he's actually going to show up. We'll have to take the mic away from him after he talks for too long. Brendan was the guy that ran MAGFest before me. And I guess the first thing that I usually say in these is, I don't know why somebody called it Ceremonies again, because there's nothing ceremonial about this. It has nothing to do with anything that anybody ever calls opening ceremonies, but people don't know what to call it, so they call it opening ceremonies. We're legit just going to sit here and talk about MAGFest for an hour. Like last year, it was called Welcome to MAGFest, which made a lot more sense because there's a lot of sort of intro, like, hi, this is what's up with MAGFest, and this is what's different about MAGFest, because That's one of the big things for anybody who's been here and anybody who heard about it through word of mouth. You probably heard that it's different. You probably heard a friend of yours be like, oh man, you remember we went to Otakon and we went to Gen Con and we went to all these things and whatever. You gotta check out MAGFest, it's different. And so we usually use this opportunity to sort of like clue people in on what to expect, because it's not gonna be what you expect. And yeah, I've honestly done this for like 10 or 12 years and I just sit here and babble. So, I don't know, man. Do you guys have a plan or anything?
Do we ever have a
okay.
plan?
I'll hand it off to Josiah because I'll wait for Brendan to come do his thing and then I'll babble at you some more later.
Here's my plan. I'll show everyone. Panicking happens at all stages of presentation. And all stages of the weekend, except just for volunteers. Like, you guys don't have to panic. You can actually enjoy yourselves.
Feel free if you want. But...
All right.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm just going to take a seat.
So,
I gotta go anyway.
something that happened this weekend, if you guys have noticed that we have a holiday that was yesterday called New Year's. Has anyone, you guys, it's like a little thing, like it's, some people celebrate it. It's like a new decade and stuff. That really crunched us for load-in this year. We were butted up directly against a New Year's event here at the Gaylord. And we had basically 24 hours to make everything happen. It's tough. It usually takes us, on average, about 48 to 72 hours. It takes us about 2 or 3 days to get everything loaded in, everything set. And people busted their butts to get this all done. So if you see a volunteer out there, someone wearing one of these lanyards or one of these badges, please make sure, just like give them a high five, give them a hug and tell them it'll be okay. Like, talk them off the ledge. Like, it's... Just make sure you thank them, because this event would not have been possible without the efforts of like all of our volunteers. And this year in particular, like our teams have put in a lot of effort to make sure that this thing can happen and happen decently and happen quickly. So let's give a round of applause for our volunteers. Speaking of which, if you would like to volunteer for MAGFest, you can feel free to stop by Staffing Operations, down the operation hallway. That's the Camilla and the Azalea rooms. We have a sign outside. It says stop, so you can feel free to stop by. This year, we're trying out an experiment. If you are a walk-on volunteer, a la you have not signed up to volunteer prior to MAGFest, and you decide you want to help out for a couple of hours, doing 6 hours will get you this exclusive mug.
Wait, let me see that. Is that?
And I can't even get that.
There is a significant story behind this mug, and I'm not sure if I want to tell it, but like,
Yeah, I think you do.
this is
I don't know this.
This is a terrible mug. I ordered a month ago these great, like, laser etched Irish coffee mugs that had like the themed logo and it said volunteer under it and it looked great. They have not entered production yet. I don't know where they are. The company has stopped speaking with me. I have like $1,500 just completely gone. But last minute, I ordered these in a mad state of panic. And it was this really cute MUGFest logo. So it's a mug and it says MUGFest and it has the logo. And on the end, it's a coffee mug rather than the speaker. I approved the proof, and then it came to me, and I opened up the box, and if you can see this, I don't know if you can, but it is the regular logo with the speaker that says MUGFest, printed a quarter the size, on the wrong side of the mug, slightly askew. So, I know this isn't a great gift, but it's the best we could do, and I hope that, like, the level of shittiness is enough to make you want it. So, please come help, and we'll give you a lanyard, we'll give you a button that says I helped, and then we'll give you this mug. Deal? Yeah. All right. So, just like some general housekeeping, if you haven't yet read the Code of Conduct, make sure you give that a glance through. Mostly it's just be decent to each other. There's some general policy about like where alcohol is allowed. Try not to bring glass down into event space. If you are going to try to sneak some kind of beverage in, I don't condone that. And if I see you drinking, I'm going to ask you politely to share. But just kind of be mindful of that space. Anywhere in the expo halls, like if you drop a bottle and it breaks and it's like shatters, it's just going to be a big pain in the butt to clean it up. Make sure you treat your hotel staff really well. Anyone like similar to how MAGFest staff busted their butts. Oh, Jack's just tossing t-shirts out. Does anyone want a t-shirt? I'm just talking and randomly I see a t-shirt go flying.
I said a thing on the internet.
Sure. Just don't break it. All right, I'll throw out one more from right here. All right, and then I'm gonna keep talking for a bit. I played football in high school, if you can't tell. That made it about 10 feet.
There's a good reason to come to opening ceremonies.
Yeah, it's the perks of coming to opening ceremonies. But anyway, in the similar way to have MAGFest volunteers busted their butts, the Gaylord has been to capacity the past 2 nights over, and the Gaylord has 2,000 hotel rooms. So that means that they have also been busting their butts off. So if you see someone wearing a Gaylord shirt or like a member of your housekeeping crew, make sure that like treat them with respect and don't poop in the elevators. I am ashamed to say it's not us, but that has happened since I arrived here on Saturday. It has happened 3 times since I arrived on Saturday.
Wait, are you serious?
I am completely not us.
There's a picture.
But it has happened.
3 times that I'm a little blown away by.
Gaylord Security is still investigating, but there are no symptoms or no signs of the perpetrators.
Come on, that was good.
I mentioned Guidebook earlier, but if you haven't, I'd recommend downloading it to your phone. It's a great resource for looking at schedules, checking up and reading on guests. There's a lot of like cross-referencing, so if you see a guest that you particularly like, you can just hit their name and it'll pull up a bio, and it'll also show you their sessions or places where you can go see them. But also, if you wander around, there's a very good chance you might see them. MAGFest likes to maintain a fairly horizontal hierarchy of like who people are and where people are. So if you're at MAGFest as like a guest or as a band or a staffer or volunteer, like they're people too. So just go say hi. You would say anything else?
I can segue off of 2 things that you said. First of all, he's talking about code of conduct and you know the hotel and everything. We try to maintain a pretty loose atmosphere at MAGFest. You can get away with quite a bit, but don't piss off the venue. Number 1 rule: do not piss off the hotel. If you do that, we just like flick, you are gone. And it's not that hard, but they don't like things hanging from the balcony. You know,
Including people.
They don't like vandalism. Duh. Just don't mess with the Gaylord. And
Respect everyone here.
What's that?
I said, and respect everyone here. We're all trying to have a great time.
Yeah, obviously. And he was talking about volunteering, and this is one of the things that I always try and make a point of talking to this audience about, because you know, half of you are here for the first time, and you're here to find out what MAGFest is about. And one of the things that we have always tried to do with MAGFest is sort of keep the playing field even in terms of classes of people. You guys are not customers here to pay us money and be entertained. You're part of MAGFest. Volunteering is something that you do if you want to do, but even if you don't volunteer, just sort of bring whatever you got. This guy over here, I'm not going to call him out too much, but he's got his name tag. You can have a name tag if you want. And I'm not even going to explain it. You can talk to him if you want. Here, Brian, sorry, Paul. He's Paul. We are all Paul. He can, yes, okay, thank you. I'm Paul. Now we know. And all of you can be Paul. And he did something completely silly that doesn't count for anything, really, but has become a minor phenomenon and was part of one of the most surreal moments in my life. And it was just somebody that was hanging around at MAGFest saw something they could do, and they went ahead and did it. And like one of the examples that I always give when I'm talking about this is many years ago, a guy came to us with an idea. He's like, I want to do these challenges for retro games. And we're like, all right, cool, there's a table, go. And he brought a few laptops and a few controllers and set up save states in emulators so that you can just load up the save state, and now you're in front of a final boss for, you know, Mega Man or Metroid or something like that with only one hit point. And you got to beat the final boss without taking a single hit. And then, like, he set up like 100 of these and a nice little interface where you could browse, you could pick your game and pick your challenge, and they were all at different levels of difficulty, and that ballooned into a fixture of MAGFest. And for, I don't know, 8 years or something, that was a thing that not only was a big hit here, but we brought that to other events. When we collaborated with other events, we'd go places and bring our challenge corner, just a stack of laptops and all these challenges. And that was because one guy was like, I want to do this thing that sounds neat. And that's where MAGFest comes from. That's where all of it comes from. So all of you, volunteers, first-time attendees, anybody, this is about participation. This is about you guys being part of something. And if you're interested in something, bring it. Bring whatever your passion is and make it a part of MAGFest. That's how MAGFest was built. And that's how it's going to continue to be built, is by people like you who just want to do something interesting, and we're trying to facilitate that. So I think I'll let Brendan talk for a moment here.
So I was one of those guys once. I went to MAGFest 1, and I saw a thing happening, and I saw a few directions that kind of lined up with some dreams I had once upon a time. And I kept on clicking the refresh button to see if when I could register again. And eventually I got this page that was very cutely 1990s, like game over, insert coin to continue. How campy is that, right? That like half laugh right there was pretty much, and then my face turned to horror because I wouldn't be able to go to this like video game party with a rock concert that I very much enjoyed that year. So I called the guy up angrily up on the phone and told him that he couldn't do this to us. And well, ended up buying the thing. I'm no longer that guy, but just to give you an example of just how far you can take Paul's analogy, I was in charge of MAGFest for the next roughly 10 years. But inversely to Paul, where you can all be Paul and you can all say that you are Paul, if you want to ensure that you get nowhere in MAGFest, remember this phrase: Brendan said it was okay.
If you go to our security guys and just like whatever it is that you need makes, and God, I say stupid things sometimes before I think, so please nobody make our security people annoyed. But if you want to make them laugh, just poke your head in their room and say, Brendan said it was okay. And
they used to have a running tally on the wall.
When they first came to us, they were so impressed, shall I say, with how many times they heard that phrase. They got a big piece of poster board and just started making tick marks. And like at the end of the event, they gave us it was, what was it? It was, have you seen Brendan?
Yeah, you can use that if you want to be less of an imposition.
Have you seen Paul? And Brendan said it was okay. That was the things they were keeping track of, how many times they heard.
So we already did. I think it was asked who has been to a MAGFest before. Yes. But I want to do who has not been to a MAGFest before. Go ahead, put your hands up.
Yeah.
We have also done this before.
Yeah.
So we did this before, but the thing that I really like to do is, like be sure to make friends with the person next to you, and can we fall back and do a who has been to you didn't iterate through
We did the whole gambit.
You did all the years?
Like literally every year.
Which thing did you want me to do then?
You're the only one who's been to all of them.
Can you raise?
Oh yeah, who's been to every MAGFest in this room?
No.
No one.
There, now I get to, okay. I think this is what Paul wanted me to do.
Mostly about
Just,
all right, I've apparently managed to confuse Brendan, but the point is, the
it's still morning for me, okay?
yeah, it's. I gotta. I got a call 20 minutes ago from Jack, who was like, "Hey, are you doing opening?" And I'm like, "I don't know, maybe. Is anybody doing it?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, kind of. Some of us are here, but we're not really sure what to do." So, yeah, and you've seen Josiah's notes.
I have pictures.
They're pretty awesome, by the way. It's the MAGFest.
But all right, the point, what I wanted Brendan here to talk about, and is because it's a thing that he always did, and like the sort of sequence where there was a guy named Joe who started MAGFest, and it was accidental. He was trying to start an anime con, and he made a few wrong turns. And then, like Brendan said, Joe was only going to do it for 1 year. He was going to college, and there was only 200 people or something, so he didn't understand that he had birthed a legend. Brendan took it over. Then, I started taking over a few years later, and on it goes. But what he used to do at this is get everybody to raise their hand and everything, and be like, okay, now hold your hand in the air. Now, those people with your hand in the air, the people next to you are your friends. And the people who've been here before, you guys have a responsibility to take the people who haven't been here before and grab one of them and be like, okay, let me show you what MAGFest is about. And that's how it starts, and then that ball gets rolling.
well, I can continue off of that. The only way that you can possibly run a 25,000 person event and have any sort of cohesive vibe, like this MAGFest is also about togetherness. If you are new here, you will notice very quickly, if you haven't already noticed, that most of the people at MAGFest, unlike there are certainly conventions that are like MAGFest in that vibe, but there are a lot of conventions where people are just like, I'm here because my friends brought me, and I don't really know what to do, and I'm not really having fun, and they kind of wander around and look lost a lot and whatever. But for the majority of the people that attend MAGFest, people want to be here. And that was something that for my 10-year tenure, I was very proud of. I was proud not only that everyone wanted to be at MAGFest, but that everyone at MAGFest knew each other and knew what they were involved in. Even if someone didn't go to the concerts, they would be like, yeah, I know Arm Cannon, and I even hang out with Danimal because I lived near Buffalo. Just things like that. It was a community, and it still is. But we really, at this point, MAGFest is so huge that we need your help. We need you to continue that, because you can go to some other event that is the size of MAGFest and people will be lost. And that is a thing that I never really wanted to lose from MAGFest.
Tell them about the demo party.
Okay, at this point, this is a complete 180.
Not really.
There are a whole lot of things to do at MAGFest, and I'm sure 30 billion of them have already been discussed. But if not,
Josiah went through the big items.
Do you want
All right.
to talk about Demo Party for a hot second?
you can go to a concert and get your face rocked off.
Yeah.
You can go to a panel and learn some insanely cool stuff. You can go to the gazebo and watch cosplayers literally all weekend get their photo taken.
Well, there's also gazebo shows, which is
yeah.
unique and interesting. We have a string quartet that occasionally plays in the gazebo, and it's an experience. It's really cool.
And if you just want to stand in the atrium and be serenaded by like the sweet sounds of bluegrass, you can check out the Hit Points playing at Belvedere, where there will be shows all weekend. That's the bar down in the lobby, or the lobby bar.
For anybody who doesn't know, the Belvedere is the bar that's on the mid-level, just below the gazebo here. And starting, was it last year we started that, or the year before? I don't know. We do concerts in there, which means you can hear them in the entire atrium, and it's awesome.
Last year,
Yeah.
there was a show going on in Belvedere. This is one of my most favorite memories of MAGFest. Ah, Cloud is glorious. Picture it, sitting on the balcony of the atrium on the 5th floor with a friend, just kind of just shooting the shit, like Triforce Quartet or someone like great with a violin was playing, and I'm looking at a cosplayer standing in front of the door to the panels room with like a photo rig set up. I just get on my radio and I go, "Hey, security?" And they go, "Yeah." "Can you ask the cosplayer in front of panels to move? They're blocking the door." And they go, "We'll send someone over." And then I just went back to what I was doing, and I watched 5 minutes later, security walked by, like talked to the guy, and then he just packed up and left. Oh God, it was great. I love hating cosplayers so much. But if you are a cosplayer, please make sure you're responsible with your photo taking. Like, we got to get across the atrium. I sleep on this side now, and I don't want to like have to constantly walk through camera shots and ruin your time. That was just a story. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think Josiah has now ascended to someone who can properly handle this panel. He's meandering into anecdotes that make him giggle for no really good reason. This is what we do here. But
So there are many big things going on at MAGFest, but if you find yourself getting bored, or you just don't know what to do, you don't have something on your schedule, you've decided that maybe you've got a little free time, and maybe you don't necessarily feel like talking to people. We're all nerds here. I know how it is. Then maybe just explore a part of MAGFest and observe something that you haven't seen before, because there are so many small, unsung things at MAGFest that you can go see. And two of them are very near and dear to me, and I've basically tried to help them from inception. One of them is the museum. You know, if you go into the ballroom area, or the other ballroom area, if you want, there's 2 escalators going up to a giant ballroom, and in between those doors is an area that maybe doesn't necessarily look like you can go back there, but maybe it isn't terribly inviting. Let it be inviting to you, because there's a museum back there. I think Jam Clinic is back there.
Jam Clinic, a bunch of the Mages panels are back there too.
Yeah, there's a ton of intellectual panels back there. I find that this is a place that maybe not a lot of people explore. The museum is especially cool because there are a ton of computers, potentially from your childhood, potentially from before you were born.
Before your childhood.
And game systems. There's an arcade museum. The museum is now twice as large as it was before. There is actually even a little bit, and we're just talking about consoles and computers and whatever, but there is also a MAGFest museum where you can see old program books, you can see, like our old ads, you can kind of, I mean, it sounds maybe a little bit hoity-toity, but you can look at the history of MAGFest because it's almost 20 years that we've been around now. So, like if you want to be like, well, I wonder what it was like gaming when I was born.
God, that's crazy.
It's really weird to say something like that. So, okay, I'm babbling, which is a thing that I do. Right next to this room, in fact, possibly the closest room that you can go to when you exit those doors is Magnolia 3. There's a bank of 3 rooms right over there. And the right-hand one is called Demo Party. And a lot of people ask me what demos are. I just had this really nice conversation with someone last night that thought it was a place where you take music demos to play your music demos. I mean, if you don't know what a demo party is, that's a very good guess, but it's not at all what's going on in there. Demos are computer music videos that are math. You don't have to know anything about math. You don't have to know anything about computers. You just have to sit there and watch cool CG special effects, listen to awesome music. Most of it is synchronized because someone sat down and got obsessive compulsive enough to, like synchronize everything. And this is basically, at this point, the sideshow to video games. If there is a cool effect that you've seen in a game or a movie, there's a good chance that 2 years prior to that, it happened in a demo. Chiptunes, possibly good because of old video game music, but definitely good because of demos. This is like a scene that if you don't know about it, you need to be in there for at least a half an hour to an hour and just sit around and we'll blow your mind for the entire duration that you're in there.
I don't think you're properly conveying the impact of demos. First of all, they're just
tiny.
They're just, what's that?
So the lack of impact, they're so small.
Yeah, they're just a thing for programmers to show off to each other. It's a hobby between programmers where they make something that looks cool and they have giant chest puffing contests about my graphics look cooler than yours. That's it. And some of the most interesting and fascinating things come out of it. And some of you, I don't know, maybe you're gamers, you've heard of a little company called Epic that makes some games. Some of you may be aware that the Unreal Engine is powering like half the games out there these days. What most of you are probably not aware of is Epic was actually local. They were in like Rockville or something before they moved to the Carolinas. And before they were a game company, they were a demo group. They were like the only American demo group worth anything. And they were like hanging around on BBSs and stuff in 1990 in the DC area, making demos that were competing with the European demo scene, which is basically the home of the demo scene and where all the good stuff is. And the demo group became Epic Mega Games, and they were doing interesting stuff. And then through the 90s, they grew into Epic Games, and they put out these game engines and everything. And my point here is, all of the graphics and everything that you take for granted in games these days were built by those guys, which was built originally as demos because they just wanted to take this hardware and do something amazing with it. And like, that's where this stuff actually comes from way back in the day. And what's really fascinating to me about demos is the demo scene guys came up with far more impressive stuff than the professional researchers in quite a few cases. You got an MIT science lab coming up with like, how can we take the performance of a supercomputer to new heights? And then you get some kid with an Amiga in his bedroom just obsessively getting down to the last little transistor on that damn chip and making the Amiga do stuff that blows somebody's mind. And this tiny little scene of people who cares about these demos looked at it and were like, huh, okay, I can do even better than that. And then they kept doing that, and then that became game engines, and that's what you're all playing now. So if you want to know where all that came from, go to his room, check it out. The demo scene is still going. These people are still coming up with insane techniques for, like, they have like 64K competitions or 4K competitions where, like,
This is not a resolution.
You only have 4 kilobytes to make the thing, and you have to jam all your code into 4 kilobytes. And in 4 kilobytes, these motherfuckers will make a fly-through of a city with full music, with synchronized, like, there's traffic running through the city, and there's this whole cyberpunk scene and everything, and it's like programmed procedurally in 4 kilobytes of data, which, like, I can't even fathom at this point. But anyway, yes, that's the demo scene, and that's why you guys should care.
The room is going 24 hours for the entire event. Occasionally, it will close from 3 to 10 so that we can get some sleep. That's just if no one is there. We'll stick around if people are. But there is a history panel. Search your guidebook for Last Millennium Today. Yes, that is a John Oliver reference. And that is specifically demo scene history.
I hope it's been successfully imparted to you that we could just keep talking forever. That there's so much going on, there's so many things, and anything we didn't mention, like, God bless them, sorry, but, like, just go look. Go experience. Like, go do and be. Yeah, we can talk about Plug Made for Makerspace.
This is what it's all about.
A plug for another area.
Not to downplay or hype anything unevenly, but to me anyway, the cool things about MAGFest are the little stuff that you find in the cracks between everything else, where somebody has done some tiny little thing that, like, it's not the big act on the main stage. Those are great, but you go in the demo scene room and you'll find somebody doing something that'll blow your mind, and you can have a conversation with them. And
speaking of people like that.
Yeah, so hi, my name's Brittany. I am a member of the MAGFest Laboratories research team. Has anyone here been to Mag Labs? Awesome. So one of the initiatives we started at Mag Labs, 5 years ago, was the makerspace. And we have brought the makerspace as a fixture of MAGFest. It is over next to the demo room. And I invite everyone to come check it out, make something awesome, and learn a new skill and show us what you got. So we also have cosplay repair, and the cosplay contests are run out of Makerspace, and I think all of that is kind of tied in together. So,
what kind of things are in the makerspace? 3D printers, sewing machines. What do you have this year?
So we have sewing machines, we have perler beads, we have lots of fiber arts. I think there's a leatherworking panel. There's going to be some chainmail supplies in there. I don't think there's a 3D printer, mostly because MAGFest doesn't own one yet. But pretty much anything you can think of making with your own hands, we can generally accommodate or help you get started on. So definitely come check us out.
Indeed.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brittany. All right.
Thanks.
I'd just like to close on showing a couple of photos. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to say before then?
You what?
I'd like to just close on some dumb photos. Does anyone have anything else they want to say before that?
Yeah, sure.
Often we'll ask people to ask questions.
Go ahead.
Is Danny DeVito going to be able to make it this year?
Yeah, he's actually everywhere in official franchising something, or I don't know.
Question is whether or not Danny DeVito can make it for the live stream.
Yeah.
We got a hand right here.
Oh, yeah.
Are there ride-share coupons this year?
Ride share coupons?
Just find any spammer on Facebook. They are around. Honestly, I would suggest searching for like Retail Me Not or one of those coupon sites. They all tend to work. most of the coupon codes for like, you're talking about like Lyft and Uber and stuff like that, the codes don't actually expire, and they're not actually one-time use. They just kind of tell you they are so that they can post them everywhere.
Good place to ask that kind of a question would be our info desk, which is like directly across the escalators.
Oh, yeah, if everybody doesn't know about the info desk, they'll charge your cell phone too.
I think they still do cell phone charging.
If you go into the expo hall side, like straight across the big intersection and turn just a little bit right, the info desk is right there. And they have, they usually have like printed maps and schedules if you need that sort of thing because you don't have technology. They'll charge your cell phone, they'll answer your questions. It's a resource for everybody. Oh, look at that, printed schedule. There you go. Thank you. Okay.
I think we had a question from this guy.
The gorilla, he's asking about the gorilla on the badge. His name is Big Funkus, and don't forget it. He's also got he's accompanied by his little friend, Lil B. You see him anywhere around? All of this artwork was put together by the illustrious Justin Wood, who's been working with our theme team. He's a graphic designer and artist. Just came out of like the blue and just said, hey, I want to help design art for MAGFest. So if you hear his name or if you see him, be sure to give him the biggest of high fives and whatever drink you have.
I have a last sort of personal philosophical meander.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to let Paul meander one more time, and we're going to meander in the outward direction.
I have always, when I do this, and I'm doing this less and less every year now, but I've always tried to make a point of saying something very personal so that people really get the idea that I and the others up here are invested in this for real, and it's about connecting, and it's not about like us putting on a big show for you guys that you just sort of, I mean, you can go to a concert anytime, man. That's not what this is. So I'm gonna talk for a second about bad things that people say about MAGFest that I then find some inspiration in. Like, MAGFest is tough. Like, running this event is tough, and it takes a toll on the people who do it. And I could say lots of bad things about MAGFest, but that would be no fun. I could also say lots of good things about MAGFest, but I find it very interesting when I find a little nugget of something. And there's a story that's old now. Back in the day, when Brendan was running MAGFest, like MAGFest 3, MAGFest 3 was one of the worst run events I've ever been to. It was an absolute clusterfuck. It was insane. One of the things that happened was the concerts went on something like 3 hours late, and the hotel wanted us to be done by 11, and the opening act, I think, started at about midnight. And the costume contest was scheduled for after the main concert. So the costume contest eventually happened at 4 a.m. And this was a fairly small MAGFest. There were like
they were there.
Yeah.
They showed up in like zombie mode. It was the zombie costume contest.
Yeah. And if you wonder why MAGFest has this weird, slightly antagonistic relationship with cosplay, it goes back to that. Because after that absolute catastrophe, somebody got on their live journal, this is how long ago that was, and said, MAGFest is less like a convention and more like a big video game party with a rock concert. Now, when I say that to you guys, that sounds silly. But MAGFest 3 was still sort of trying to find its footing, and there were a lot of very, very loyal fans who jumped on this and like started a big internet flame war. Fuck you, MAGFest is the best convention ever, like you suck, our cosplayers suck, whatever. And I had to step in and kind of say, wait, guys. Look at what they just said. They said MAGFest is a big video game party with a rock concert.
It became a tagline.
Right? We made that our tagline.
We also changed our name from Mid-Atlantic Gaming Festival to Music and Gaming Festival right then.
So a few years ago, this was like 2 years ago maybe, when we were dealing with the hotel room fiasco, which is difficult every year because there is a finite amount of hotel rooms here, and no matter what we do, somebody's going to be angry that they didn't get a room. And for the last, 4 years now that we've been filling up the Gaylord, and I mean, I'm sure most of you are aware, this entire town, like not just the Gaylord, but every hotel in National Harbor sells out in like half an hour when we open up registrations. And there are lots of things we can do about that, but we can't fix the fact that there's a finite number of rooms. And so people get very mad. And I remember somebody, I think it was 2 years ago, on Facebook, was complaining about like yada yada, like this sucks, MAGFest doesn't care, they've sold out, rah rah rah, all that sort of thing. And they were like, they don't care. MAGFest is just a big party for the bored and their friends. Now, as my friends, all couple hundred of you get where I'm going with this. Yeah, that's...
Who here agrees?
To me, that's always been the most important thing about MAGFest. And I've talked a little bit about it, so you get it, but like the most important thing that I have always tried to do with MAGFest myself is to break down the barriers so that we don't have the attendee class, and you guys just get to stay on the other side of the velvet rope and don't give us trouble. And we have the celebrity class that sits up on the thing and they'll hand out autographs to you for money. It's not about that. It's about connecting, and it's about being friends. And to me, that's the most important thing about MAGFest, always has been. And like I said, I'm kind of stepping back, and I'm not really going to be the guy in charge in the future necessarily. But this guy and this guy and this guy are taking it up. And I am saying this as much to them as I am to you guys. And I hope that you guys can all help support them in doing that, which means like come talk to them, be their friends, find out who's in charge and be like, hey, who are you? Are you cool? You're obviously cool, you're with MAGFest. And just keep the network going, and don't let it turn into something where like we're just forced to sell out because like nobody cares. That would be the most depressing thing to me in the universe. So everybody is everybody's friends. You guys, I'm mostly talking to Jack here, who for I don't know how many years at this point, I have been officially the president of MAGFest. And a few months ago, I handed that off to him. So
I'm so lucky.
all right.
No, MAGFest is amazing, and I agree with everything you said, and I hope that we would never sell out. And you know, we're just full of too many awesome people. We're just a great community. I just can't see that would happen. And,
yeah, it's not about the sellout. It's about the difficulty, and then you sort of like you fall into that thing where you're like, oh man, no, we just need to segment this thing out. We need to farm this out to a vendor or whatever, and like we have to do that. But we can't lose sight of the point, and that's the point. So, okay, I am done. I hope I see all my good friends over the weekend.
Go enjoy everything. There's so much stuff. Worst part of MAGFest, you can't do everything. There's too much awesome stuff happening at the same time.
So I just had a couple of quick things, especially since we had so many first-timers here. A really important thing that I want to make sure you hear is to take care of yourself.
Hydrate. Anybody who's first time, holy crap, hydrate. You have no idea how much the air here will suck the water out of you. Drink 4 times as much water as you think you should.
Yes, absolutely.
I hope you have chapstick.
And for real, get your sleep. And make sure you eat twice a day, at least.
It's the 6-2-1 rule. You drink 6 gallons of water a day, you eat 2 meals a day, and you sleep for 1 hour, and you'll be fine.
Also, please please shower. For real.
Oh, yeah. 7 showers a day.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. Have an awesome MAGFest. Whoa!